Women's Day is not about one day. It's not about a month. It's not about a year. I think Women's Day needs to be celebrated every day.
Namaskar, welcome to Neeta Bhasin show, and we are celebrating International Women Not Day. We are celebrating the entire month. Matter of fact, I would say कि हर रोज वुमेन डे है, क्योंकि वुमेन एक माँ है, बहन है, बेटी है, बहू है. And this year's theme is break the bias. That's right. जो डिस्क्रिमिनेशन हो रहा है अगेंस्ट वुमेन, उसको खत्म किया जाए. वुमेन हर किसी की जिंदगी में एक बहुत बड़ा रोल प्ले करती हैं, बहुत से सेक्रीफाइसेस करती हैं. आज हम आपकी मुलाकात एक ऐसी गेस्ट से करवाने जा रहे हैं who has given her life for her family and for her society and for her community. So let's meet our guest, Dr. Abha Jaiswal. Dr. Abha Jaiswal, welcome to Neeta Bhasin show. आप बताएंगे what does International Women, I would say, mean to you?
Namaste, Neeta ji. Thank you for making me a part of your show. I'm delighted to be here. For me, as you said, Women's Day is not about one day. It's not about a month. It's not about a year. I think Women's Day needs to be celebrated every day. And you see the progress that women have made, or the strides they have taken, has been a continuum of what women have done before us. And for me, celebrating Women's Day in New York is special. It is because here is where the idea of a day for women actually came up. It was the Socialist Party of America that actually designated Women's Day and got together to actually designate a day for women. From a public health perspective, I think celebrating Women's Day in New York is super special for me. It brings to fore the work of pioneers like Margaret Sanger, who established the first family planning clinic in Brownswood, Brooklyn. So in that sense, I must say that it's very special to do it in New York. And it's very special because, as you rightly said, it's not a matter of a day or month, it's a continuum. And celebrating Women's Day finally means taking stock of what has been done and how much more needs to be done. And this can only be possible through work that continues on a daily basis or a monthly basis.
कोई अपने घर से कहीं और जाता है तो कहता है चलो वापस अपने घर जाएं. But you are moving country to country every 3 years. So how did you handle this situation when your girls were going to different schools in different countries?
The attitude is very important. I think I go with an attitude of there are challenges, but there are opportunities. As a mother, specifically, I have learned languages wherever I've gone. I learned Portuguese in Portugal. I went to the university. I learned Spanish in Cuba, because I think without knowing the language, you really don't understand the people there. And there's so much to learn from the people of each and every country.
You know 8 languages, if I'm not wrong.
Yes, I know a lot of languages, and I like picking up languages. It's nice to speak to people in their own language. I mean, it just opens all doors. So yes, I make it a point. I've invested in going to universities everywhere. So yes, I always give myself time. I always give time the first 6-7 months I I am available for my children 24/7. Uh, I try to engage with other teachers, other parents in their schools. So it's we work around understanding the place. It is very difficult. It is very difficult, and I remember when once in South Africa, I was outside and I said, I don't feel very right. I feel that when the children come back, I need to get home. And that is that, I think for parents and for children, that moment when children just come into the houses is very critical, because that is the time when they will blurt out, they will share their whole what has happened to them in school. So I was home and I just reached, and then the doorbell rang and my children came in, and my older daughter just started crying. And I said, I just felt that something was going to happen to you in school. So she had just got into school. They were a month old in the new school, and the play teacher had asked them to pair up with students. So there were 15 students in the class. So my daughter was the new one on the block. So she was actually left out. She said, I really felt bad. We're always the new child on the block. It's so difficult for us. But just being there, telling them it's okay, telling them the benefits of moving from place to place. I mean, I do get a little, not jealous, but I do feel a little bad when I see my friends who settled in India, have a flourishing career, and everything is kind of taken care of in some aspects. But when I look back, I look at how enriching the whole journey has been, and I don't think I would trade it for anything. And I don't think my children would trade it for anything. They're open, they don't have any biases, they don't have any prejudices, and they're very free flowing. So I think there are benefits as there are challenges, there are many opportunities, and we have to look on the brighter side of things. That is what COVID has taught us. That is what life teaches us. So with that attitude, I move forward. And I'm also very grateful for what I have. When I think of all the things that I'm missing on, I sit and jot down all the things that I'm grateful for. And maybe that keeps me going.
You are a medical doctor and you have done your master's in sociology and public health. I want to know first from you, not about your profession, you as a wife of Mr. Randhir Jaiswal, who is a Consul General of India, who is a diplomat, and you are traveling with him along with the children all over the world. How are you keeping your professional life?
It is not very easy, but I think if you work hard, it's a globalized world. So if you work hard and people know you in your field, you're able to connect. And that is how I've been able to maintain my work, moving from place to place. I still work with my colleagues in India. I still work with my colleagues in South Africa. And it's interesting that my colleagues in South Africa also know some people in New York or in Boston. So that way, I've always been able to do something or the other. And public health is so much about reading and writing, which I enjoy doing. In that way, I have been able to keep continuing my work. I here I would be teaching soon at the City University, which I'm looking forward to. And there's always learning. So if I'm not working, I am always picking up skills, be it in online course or a writing course, and I also write for the newspaper sometimes. So that is always open. So yes, that is how I've been. And I think everything's about reading and writing. So that I think can be done anywhere. And yeah, so that is how I continue engaging, speaking, advocating for public health.
Awesome. So now, because of this pandemic from last 2 years, the whole world was going through a huge challenge, socially and health-wise. And there is a huge demand of experts like you.
Ji.
What was your contribution to the community or to the world during this pandemic?
As a public health professional, And as a human being, I think I know the effect of the COVID on mental health. And I know that in India, people were stuck in their homes, they could not move. And I used to walk a lot in the park. On a one-to-one basis, I used to actually do video calls from people, show them flowers, speak to them, and just make them feel that they were walking in Central Park. I mean, I would spend hours just, speaking to people, speaking to my aunt, we lost our uncle, speaking to my mother, my sister. It was difficult. Speaking to our ambassadors who have been ambassadors when we were posted together, just showing them around, because everyone was not, India was in a heavy duty lockdown. So just showing them around, speaking to them. We made it a point, at least even my husband and myself, that we call people who we knew that were finding it difficult because they've lost someone, and just catching up on everyone. That is something that we did on a very consciously. On a professional front, I worked on looking at how COVID was affecting healthcare among migrant populations. This is a study that I did in South Africa, and it's still continuing. So on a professional and personal level, I have contributed to the very difficult time that we all faced.
Are you planning to do some research here about the immigrant community, Indian community, what kind of challenges and what kind of issues and problems they faced or still facing? Because the community is facing huge problems, especially, I would say, the young generation, the second generation. They are very confused. I have seen a lot of youngsters going through a depression even before pandemic, because they are being influenced by parents and influenced by their peer. So a lot of issues are here in this country, which we are seeing a lot of youngsters are going through depressions. I would say that you should do some research on that. I'll be happy to work with you.
It's very interesting you asked me this question, because just yesterday, I actually met with a professor from Columbia University. Her name is Dr. Lisa Miller. And she has actually done research on the influence of spirituality on the brain. And she was actually, so that's why we spoke to her, because she was saying that in India, there's so much to learn from India. And that is a message that I want to actually also share with the South Asian community, that this has been given to us from our forefathers, from our parents, our grandparents. So this is something that we really need to look into, because she says that with spirituality, what happens is the cortex, it grows bigger. So the resilience to deal with things is better. And she has used MRI scans, genotyping, scientific methods, actually to show us that spirituality is very, very helpful in building resilience, and how resilience then in turn helps to build your mental stamina. So, for us, this is something that we have got from our forefathers, from our grandparents, parents. And since it's International Women's Day, let me also reiterate that they say that in terms of spirituality, studies have shown that women are 50% more spiritual than men. So we actually, you can say we can do so much to support mental health. We are the torch bearers of healers in the process, where we see there's so much of mental health issues. So I think for us, for the South Asian community, we as women and we as women from South Asian community have a responsibility, and we also have the wherewithal to actually make a difference. So this is something that I would like to share.